Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ian is a Weirdo, or Ian is Weird. I think I'm going to post this on both of my channels. Today I'm going to be teaching you a crochet stitch. I'm going to be teaching you the loop stitch. There are multiple variations of this, but I'm going to teach you how I learned. And I'll also post some other links in the description of different ways that you can do the loop stitch. I'm going to be using the Big Twist Value. It's a 4-weight yarn, and I'm going to be using the color Jack-o'-lantern. It was in their Halloween collection. I like using variegated yarn for my stitch instructions. I find it's a lot easier to follow where the stitch placement should be, personally. Because sometimes they're like, put your hook in here, and you're like, what? Where? So I'm going to start with a slip knot. So the great thing about the loop stitch is that there's so many varieties, there's so many ways that you can do it. The most important thing is that, well, to start out with, is that you can do any number of chains. So I'm going to start by doing 10 chains. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I'm just going to do one more for a turning chain. Now I'm using a size K hook. It's a little hard to read with the glitter. This is the Moonlight or Moonlit Furls hook. I'm using something slightly bigger than I normally use. I, again, find it easier for stitch tutorials to use something a little bit bigger, but you can change your hook size, your yarn size with this stitch. It always looks really cool. So what we're going to do is first we're going to think about how we want our stitches to look. My kind of go-to, and I'll adjust it kind of from there depending on the pattern, is to do half doubles for everything. So first we're going to do a row of half doubles. So we're going to start with the second loop from the hook. So when I first started crocheting, it was really hard for me to identify which was the second loop from the hook. Maybe you had this problem, maybe you didn't. But if you move this working yarn on your hook and on your finger back and forth, you can see that the yarn moves freely through the first loop from the hook. So if you step one back from that, then you'll find your second chain from the hook. Because I'm doing a half double, I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to go into that second loop from the hook. Now I'm like, oh, where am I? There we go. Insert my hook, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at the same time, just like that. So we're going to do another half double, yarn over, next stitch, insert your hook, maybe, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. So we're going to finish the row just like this. So by the end, you should have 10, because we did a turning chain, you should have 10 half double crochets. So once you've done your 10 half double crochets, I'm going to chain 1 because I'm going to do half double loop stitches, and I like the height of 1 turning chain for my half doubles. Everyone's different, some people do 2, but I prefer 1. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. In this first stitch, we're going to start it like we would any half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and go into the stitch, just like that. Now, this is where things get a little loopy, pardon my pun. So we're going to go, I'm going to refer to this part, the closest part of the working yarn to the project, as the front, and I'm going to refer to the furthest part, this part back here, as the back. So we're going to go to the right of the front, and we're going to go to the left of the back, and we're going to pull that around and pull through the stitch that we're working in. Now, if you wanted to adjust the size of the loop, this would be the time where you could do that. But I'm going to let go of my loop, You want to adjust the size before you lock it with that final stitch, because once you lock it, it's not going to move. And you're even going to be able to cut that loop and make grass like I did with my project. So next we're going to go in and we're going to do the same thing again. You can do it in every stitch. You can alternate however much, how many loops you want. So we're going to yarn over, insert into our stitch. We're going to go to the right of the front yarn. We're going to go to the left of the back yarn. We're going to grab that. We're going to kind of encapsulate that front yarn. And then we're going to let go of the loop, making sure that we're not pulling that like into our stitch in like a weird way. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all three. So again, yarn over, insert into the stitch, right of the front, left of the back, pull through, let go of the loop, and then we're going to pull through all three loops, just like that. So we're going to keep going all the way to the end of the row. See, sometimes the yarn wants to curl and be like, nah, I'm not going to go there. So you're going to have to push it out of the way so you can finish your stitch. Because the loop stitch is typically worked as a one-sided fabric, meaning that there is a clear front, which when we're working on our loop stitches is facing away from us. And when we're working on our half double rows or whatever rows are in between your loop stitches, those are going to be the front. So you're going to insert, yarn over, insert, left of the front, sorry, right of the front, left of the back, pull through. You want to keep your loops relatively even, but you can also adjust them. Let's say you want like to cut your loops and make fringe. This is a really great, reliable way to make fringe because you can cut it and it's not going to come loose even if you follow the washing instructions on the yarn band. So it's really nice, and you don't have to do all of that, like putting in those the like tassels or not tassels, that fringe separately just to have it fall off because it decided to get loose, which is endlessly frustrating for me. And this is a great way to make grass like I did for my kitten graveyard, which I will show you. So you get that loop out of the way. And there are some methods where you pull up the loop or you kind of twist the loop in your hands and then you crochet around it. A bunch of different ways to do this stitch, so whatever way works best for you. I found that some other ways hurt my hands more than others, so just something to consider, that if maybe this method isn't right for you, there's a way to do the loop stitch that might be a little bit more comfortable for you. Nope. Okay, there we go. See, if it falls to the left of the stitch and you pull through, it's not going to get locked. What's locking it is having that stitch be around the left side of it. So this is what the row of loops looks like. And so you could leave and have a bunch of loops, or you could, at the end of your project, cut through them. And you might be like, wow, that could create a lot of loops to cut through. It's actually very simple because all of the loops are faced sideways. So it's really easy to get your scissors under each, or whatever you're using, your snippies, to get them under like a lot of stitches at once and just cut all at once. It's much easier. It's like mowing the lawn rather than anything else. So for the next row, I'm going to do half double crochet. You can do any stitch here, but I'm just going to do my typical half double crochet. Now, if you did a loop stitch right here, the loops would face the back, and there's not as much application for two-sided loop stitch, so, you know, not many people use it, but I mean, it's possible. It's kind of up to you, but I haven't really done it, and I haven't found any reason to do this. But imagine like having some like really funky like pants or shorts or like sleeves or anything that you wanted to add like a little zest to, and just adding some fringe or some loops to it, or doing a hat with loops. This would all be very cool. So I did my half doubles all the way across the top. Now I'm going to chain one and turn because we're going to go back into our loop stitch pattern. So we're going to go into the first stitch, start just like we would any other half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and insert. We're going to go to the right of the front, the left of the back, and then we're going to pull through. Yarn over and pull through all three. Yarn over, insert, right of the front, left of the back, pull through. And you can make really long or really short fringe. I mean, kind of depending on your preference. So this is a very versatile and longer loops. It's just about how you want your fabric to look in the end, ultimately. So there's a lot of possibilities. When I first was introduced to this stitch, I was taught the way that you grab the loop and you kind of like make the stitch around it, and it hurt my hand so much. But I find that this method of doing the loop stitch is a lot more comfortable for my hand, and I can do it for much longer without a lot of pain. So that's a pro, right? So do what works for you and your body. New stitches always can stretch new muscles. So be patient with yourself as you're learning. Also, you know, sometimes the stitch gets a little confusing. You go the wrong way and you're like, why does this look different? And it takes a little practice to kind of get an eye for it. But it's really easy to get into a groove with the stitch, which I appreciate. See, look, I went through a loop right there. Sometimes the loops are a little unruly. So if you pull your finger up a lot higher, you're going to be able to get that longer fringe. And if you pull your loop up less high, you can get that shorter fringe. So you can really adjust it to whatever you need. So I could chain one and turn and continue this swatch. I just wanted to show you the stitch. So these are what the loops look like. And it's as some yarns will lay flatter than others. This one is, you know, not as flat as it could be. Plus the variation kind of hides some of the loops. But so you could leave it like this. You could have your loops just dangling. That looks really cute. I've seen a lot of hats where they do the loop stitch. Personally, I prefer the loop stitch to cut for fringe. For grass, when I did my catnip graveyard, I used the So this is the project that I first made with the loop stitch, and I did use a different method for getting the loops. I used the twirling method, and oh my gosh, that hurt my wrist so bad. But it was a great learning experience. Excuse me. And so what I did is I made my rows of loops and then separated them with a half double crochet row. You could separate them with single crochet if you want your loop rows to be closer together, or a larger stitch like a treble or a double treble if you wanted them to be further away. You could create a really fun textural mix if you did some loop stitch that's cut like grass, and then you had some bobble stitches, great like sensory for anyone who likes sensory objects. Really, really fun. The yarn will start to fray a little bit, but that's part of the fun of it, is it kind of looks more like grass and a little bit more fun, but it really hasn't frayed that much considering my cat goes hard on this mat. So it's very easy to cut. You don't have to cut one loop at a time because that would drive anyone nuts. You can see that the back just looks like a half double crochet panel. Doesn't look like anything special. I mean, not that crocheting half double crochets is not special, but it doesn't look like anything unusual other than half double crochet. But in the front we get all of these cut loops that look like grass, and when you can fluff them up to kind of look more like stand-up grass, or you can lie them down a little more flat if you want something that's more fringe looking. So, so this is my first application, and my next application will likely be grass again for another project. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little bit. Check out those other videos. If this video was a little bit hard for you to follow, there's many ways to do the loop stitch. There's other variations, the single crochet. There's ways to do it where it's all in the front. And so I'm going to try to link what I can. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.